Hey guys, it's Kevin, my review for Encanto. And this film, we do center on the family known as the Madrigals. They are this family that lives in this sentient house known as the Encanto, or as they refer to it, the Casita. And basically, almost every single one of this family has been gifted with some sort of special ability. That is aside from Mirabel. She is the only child that is pretty much normal in that way. However, when she starts to get the sense that the house is dissipating and there might be a threat underway, she realizes she may be the family's only hope to fully save it. So Encanto overall, I was very excited for this film. To me, this seemed like the kind of like late year Disney musical extravaganza that we all really do look forward to, especially the fact that like Lin-Manuel Miranda was doing the music and, you know, coming off the heels of like the Moana and just the year that he's had in general. I really thought that this was poised to be a very strong animated film for sure. I had a lot of hope for this one, and I mean, especially last year not having a Disney film on Thanksgiving weekend was very strange, so this kind of did feel like a nice, like, sort of like back to basics thing in a way, and actually getting to see it, this film very much lived up to the hype for me. Encanto is a very heartwarming and very, I think, creative animated film that is for sure one of the better ones we've gotten this year, but we are just getting into it right now, starting off with the voice cast. And easily, I think that is one of the best elements of this entire film. I think everyone, cast-wise, does a really strong job here. Stephanie Beatriz, I think, has really been making a name for herself recently. Not that she wasn't beforehand, but I think even more so now, you know, aside from just, like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, especially when it comes to animated films, I think she really has been doing a great job. She was excellent in, like, the Lego Movie 2, and here, I think she gives the best performance I've seen from her as the character of Mirabel. I really loved what she ended up doing in this role. Mirabel is someone that you root for because of how ordinary she really is, but you also love just how cunning she is. She's not someone that's just gonna lay down and die. She had this can-do attitude, and I think Beatriz portrays that role very well. I really enjoyed her in this movie. My God, can she sing as well. She has an amazing singing voice. We already knew that from In the Heights, but she really does demonstrate her vocal abilities very well here. Overall, I just think she did a really excellent job playing this role. John Leguizamo is also really good as the character of Bruno. We'll get a little more into Bruno a little bit later, but he is kind of like the black sheep of this family overall, and he portrays this role very well. He is a lot of fun to watch, but he's also someone that you feel very connected to in that way, and I really did enjoy his role in this movie. It's not quite as big as you'd think, but I think he overall does a really great job. I gotta say though, for me, maybe the standout performance of this entire film was from Maria Cecilia Botero, who plays Mirabel's abuela in the film, or just abuela, who pretty much is like the matriarch of the entire family. I absolutely adored her performance in this film. Abuela is the kind of like tough as nails you know, grandmother that instills values and doesn't really like it when those values are sort of deviated, because she has a very specific way of looking at things, but she also has this very sort of traumatic past, and there's a reasoning why she acts the way that she does, and I think Botero portrayed this role very well. You know, you see that she's someone that generally does love all of her family, but there's sacrifices she's had to make along the way and things like that, and I just thought overall she really blew me away here. I really enjoyed her performance in this film. I think she absolutely killed it in pretty much every single scene that she was in, and I really do want to see more from her. I've really never seen her much of anything, but I really did love her performance. And also, shout out to Olga Merediz, who does all of her singing in the film. I thought that voice sounded familiar, and it was, and again, I just thought she did an excellent job in this film. As far as the rest of the cast goes, I think everyone does a really solid job here. Mauro Castillo is really fun as the character of Felix. I enjoyed him a lot in this film. Jessica Darrow is another really big standout as well. She is Louisa, who is pretty much the, you know, she basically is the character that, she's the one that is the strongest of the family, quite literally. She has big biceps, and she's always doing all these different tasks, and I thought she was just a lot of fun to watch. Diane Guerrero was fantastic in this movie as the character of Isabella, seemingly the like perfect sibling that everyone just adores because of her beauty, but also her ability to like make, you know, flowers bloom everywhere, but there's a little bit more going on with her, especially in the third act, and I thought she did a really strong job here. I really enjoyed Carolina Gaitán a lot. Adasa does a really good job. Renzi Felez is hilarious in this, in a supporting role as a character of Camillo, and then Wilmer Valderrama is really great too. Really just this entire cast rounding out. I think the entire ensemble, everyone did a really strong job here. Now I really want to get to the directing in this film, which, you know, when it comes to Disney animated films, they can a lot of the time feel very similar in the way that they're directed, but what I think Encanto does very well is that it doesn't try to be more than what it is. Like, yes, this is very much this, like, fantasy film, but it's much more of, like, a family drama than you would expect it to be, and I think that's something that Jared Bush and Byron Howard did a very good job with. You know, even though these characters are fantastical, there's sort of, like, this relatability to them that I think a lot of people are really gonna latch onto, and I thought they portrayed that very well. The movie is a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of moments that had me laughing, but just as many moments that had me emotional. One in particular, I did shed a few tears. I'm not gonna lie to you. This movie did get to me in that way, and I thought overall their directing was really strong here. I really enjoyed their creative approach to this film and the way they told this story. It's a story that has been told before, but they do enough to keep it fresh, and that really does go into the screenplay here. Like I said, they keep things relatively simple with this film. There isn't some, like, big threat looming. There isn't, like, a twist reveal with a villain or anything like that. This very much is like this family trying to work together, and especially when it comes to Mirabel. I mean, yes, you know what the message is probably going to be with her character. The idea that she is ordinary, but there's something extraordinary about her. Yes, they definitely do go down that direction, but they do a really great job at telling this story with her, because it's not so much that she's bothered by the fact that she is just ordinary. It's the fact that overall she doesn't really know her place within the family. You know, people look down at her. They don't necessarily look down at her, but she doesn't really get that same respect that others are. She's, especially when it comes to her sisters, Luisa and Isabella respectively, she just really does not feel like she fits in overall, and I think that's what really latches you onto her character. You know, she's sort of like that middle child who is really trying to, like, find her footing, and you really do latch onto Mirabel, especially when this threat emerges. You know, you want to see what she can really do. How is she going to benefit this family and things like that, and really just, you know, discover her true destiny, I think, as the film goes on, and it makes her such a compelling character to follow. I really loved what they did with the character of Mirabel overall. Like I said, yes, it goes down a it definitely goes down a predictable note, but I think overall they do enough with her to really keep you invested. And the same goes for, I think, the character of Abuela. Abuela is someone that we follow heavily in this movie, and she is very strict with her values. She has a specific way of doing things. She is constantly hyping up everyone's talent, pushing them to the best of their ability, but you can also see that she has a reasoning for doing things, and she has this one scene especially with Mirabel in the third act of this movie, and it really got to me. I thought it was probably the standout scene in the entire movie, where we get to see a little bit more of, like, why Abuela has become the way that she has, and I thought overall, you know, they did a really strong job with fleshing out that character. She's really not a villain at all in this movie. Like, yes, sometimes her ideals aren't the best, and the way that she looks at things, she is a very close-minded way of viewing things, but there's a reason why she's that way, and I thought it was a wise choice to not make her, like, a villain in any sense in this movie. I liked what they ended up doing with that character, but really, I think this entire family, I don't think there's a single member of the Magical family that you don't feel at least somewhat entertained by. I think everyone has really fun abilities, you know, whether it's the character of Luisa, who, like I said, is, like, really strong. She has to carry on all these difficult responsibilities, and they do a good job of fleshing out that character and seeing how much is mounted on her, but also how you know, so much is expected out of her, and how she doesn't really know how to go about life without always being the strongest, without helping everyone out. She doesn't know what to do, and I think they did a really good job with, you know, centering on that character overall. Or whether you have, say, the character of Peppa, this character that literally can make weather happen just by the change of her mood. If she's mad, then there's probably going to be, like, a thunderstorm of sorts. If she's sad, there's going to be, like, a rainstorm. I thought that was a really fun character, and I thought they did a lot of really fun stuff with her. Another big highlight for me in terms of characters is the character of Camillo. He literally has the power to transform into anyone. He can morph into any person that he wants to, and they do a lot of fun stuff with him comedically that I enjoyed a lot. But the character that surprised me the most was actually the character of Isabella, because she starts off and you think she's just going to be like this one-note sort of like the bratty sister that everyone loves, everyone adores, but there's a little bit more going on with her. We get a lot of exploration of her character in the third act of the movie, and I thought it was honestly really well done because she became one of the more complex characters, I think, in this film. They dived a lot deeper into her than I was expecting them to, and I really enjoyed that when it came to the character of Isabella. I thought, you know, they did a good job of exploring her really, you know, exploring her full potential. I think that's a big part of this movie, is that yes, all of these characters, you know, have these abilities to them, but there's something that's holding them back. There's more that they can do. They can do more than just one thing, and I think that's something that this movie really wants to focus on, is that people are inherently multifaceted. They can't just, you know, they can't just limit themselves to one thing. They shouldn't limit themselves to one thing, and I think that's a really good message overall, and I think that's something that this film does a really excellent job with. And then we have the character of Bruno, and Bruno is a really fun character because while you have all of these characters that have all these abilities and everyone seems to just adore them for it, Bruno is very much frowned upon. He's very much the black sheep of the family. I can't really get into more than that, but he is a really fun character to watch, and you want to know more about him because there's so much just like lore and mystery surrounding him, and you know, Mirabel's connection to him plays a very vital role in this whole mission that she's going on, and I thought overall that he was a really fun character when we started to focus more on him. So like I said, I think all the characters were very well written. I think the family as well, you really do find yourself latching onto them, but you also see how fractured they are and how they really do need to kind of like work together through this. I think, again, there are messages that are very predictable here, but they do it in such a way to where you're still latched onto these characters. You know, you want to know more about them, not just based on their abilities. You want to see who they are outside of their abilities, and I think the film does a strong job with that. So again, I think overall this is a very solid screenplay. Getting into the animation though here, I mean, look, it's cliche at this point to say that Disney's animation is amazing, but my god, just the places they go to in this film in terms of animation, this is one of the most beautiful films I think they have put out in a very long time. It is so striking, especially in terms of the colors. This is really one of those films you cannot take your eyes off of for a second because you are just so invested in this world. You are so swept up in everything that's going on. The casita especially, you know, really does kind of become its own character in that way, and I thought they did a really strong job with that here. Just the colors, the way everything popped, the places they were willing to go animation-wise. There's one sequence especially, it's a musical number that Louisa gets, and there were so many things they did with the animation that I was literally stunned by. I was so... like, I was just so taken aback by the things that they were able to do, and it just... again, even though it's cliche to say, I feel like every time I see a Disney film of this nature, you know, I'm always so blown away by what they can do with the animation. I mean, they have just come so far in that way in terms of animation, and it's just absolutely incredible to behold all of the things they're able to accomplish, and I thought they really did an amazing job with that. Let's get into the music here, because that was something I was very excited for. Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the score, and it very much does not disappoint. I feel like what's really interesting about this score in particular is that compared to Moana, there's a much more wider array of songs, whereas I feel like Moana, you know, feels very like traditional Disney. This feels very much like something Lin-Manuel Miranda would do. Like, you could tell this is his sound, whether it's the introduction song, you know, Welcome to the Family Madrigal, does a really great job of just, you know, setting up the characters and getting you into the setting of it all. I thought they did a really strong job with that. Almost every single character has their own song. Louisa, like I said, has a number that I really liked. You know, Mirabel has a really good, like, I Want song. But the two best songs for me, I think, one is called We Don't Talk About Bruno, and it is this incredible ensemble piece where everyone is pretty much expressing their discount with this Bruno character, and sort of like, you know, the various, the various things that have caused him to just become that black sheep of the family. I thought that was just such a fun song. It's a song I have not been able to stop listening to since I saw the movie, but also this song goes Dos Alguritos. It's going to be the tearjerker of this film. That's going to be the song, I think, that when people think of Encanto, I think this is going to be the song that people most best associate this film with. It is this beautiful song. I don't want to say much more than that, but it's truly one of the most beautiful pieces of music I've heard from a Disney film in quite a bit. Very much reminded me of, like, Remember Me from Coco. It has a very similar vibe to that, I think, and this song alone, I think, is enough of a reason to watch this film. Just all of the musical numbers in this movie are absolutely spectacular. They're every bit as fun, but also does a good job of furthering the story and characters in the way that it should. I think probably some of Disney's strongest music in a while. If you really have been, like, missing that, I think this film is a really good way to dive deeper into that. So I thought they did a really great job with that. But the musical score in general, I think, is really good. I really enjoyed it. It added to the intensity. It added to the emotion of this film. It added to the fun. I thought they did a really great job when it came to the music here. And also the editing. The movie is only 109 minutes, but honestly, I think that it was very perfectly paced. I never really felt like this movie was dragging on too long or anything. I was pretty much invested in it the entire time, and I thought that overall it was paced pretty well. That being said, I do have a couple issues when it comes to this film. One of them being is that I think there are some characters here, and I understand there's a lot of members of the Madrigal family, but they just don't have a lot to do. Particularly Mirabel's parents really get pushed to the wayside in this film. They establish early on she has a pretty close relationship with her mother, but aside from seeing, like, her mom's healing abilities, we really don't do all that much with her. And then Wilmer Valderrama, I felt especially was underused. I just really did not feel I got much out of him as a character. I enjoyed his performance. He was fun to watch, but I really wanted more from him. I think they could have done more with that character, and they just didn't really dive into them at all. I thought Mirabel's parents, I wanted more. Also, there's a subplot of sorts going on in this movie, and the way that they resolved it, I was honestly a little bit confused by, because it just felt a little bit underwritten, and I was like, oh yeah, that happened, but it was something that happened, like, so early on in the movie that when they finally sort of, like, close it out, it just felt a little bit too late. So again, I don't think that they did the greatest job with that. I think they could have dived a bit deeper into what's really going on. Then also some of the backstory, I think, of what really, like, brought the casita to life and everything. I think they could have dived a bit deeper into that as well. But other than that, there really isn't too much that I can pick apart when it comes to this movie. Encanto is just such a beautiful and well put together animated film. It's so endlessly creative to watch. It's got a really great voice cast. It's got some really colorful and fun characters, some beautiful animation, some fantastic music from Lin-Manuel Miranda, as expected. And I think just in general, if you're looking for a really heartwarming and fun Disney animated film, I really think that Encanto will satisfy you very well. This is very much what you want out of a Disney film, I think, for sure. This is also a really great Thanksgiving movie, considering how much of it is a family drama and whatnot. And I think in a year where animation really hasn't been that great, Encanto really does rise above the few that we have that are really good as easily one of the best of the year. I think that this is definitely going to be the front runner at the Oscars now for Best Animated Film, and I think it is overall deserving. While it's not my personal favorite animated film of the year, it is very much high up there for sure. Just overall, this was very much the musical delight that I really did want. This is easily one of the most creative and fun Disney films. I really did love Encanto a lot, and I am going to give it an A-. Alright guys, so my review of Encanto. The most guys saw this, morale, left your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.